Previously from the Hood Blogger.
Levinsky was about to pull over the alleged criminals when one of the suspects said banging with the rifle. Moments later, Skrilla and Alman street investigators say Howard King emerged from a Jeep and fired an AR, hitting and rocking the 12-year-old veteran. Deputy. Hey yo, this SB Twiz, the Hood Blogger. Y'all know how I carry it. Shout out to everybody that been rocking with the content. Shout out to the day ones. Salute to the new subs, man. Welcome to the family. If y'all new to this channel, bro, hit that sub button, man. Y'all won't be disappointed. Y'all can scroll all up and down the timeline, bro. You know what I'm saying? I got content for days. But I just want to get into it. Y'all know last week I touched up on the you got to be careful with the choice of words on YouTube. So that's why, of course, I'm sticking with the Jamie mission that took place back in '08. You know, with the brothers that hit that bank inside that ShopRite or whatever. This joint right here was a year before that. It's just crazy how these joints was dropping back to back. Cause I remember, you know, that the city was super hot because they like these cops keep, you know, getting parked out this joint. You know, Philly is out of pocket. So around these years, bro, when I tell you the city was hot, the city was hot. And, you know, it's a lot different than nowadays where, you know, the cops, they really tread lightly. Like back then, bro, you was getting hopped out on randomly. Illegal search and seizure all day, bro. They ain't care. You be walking from the Chinese store, they jumping out, they searching you. You know, they wasn't playing at all back then. That's why a lot of people was spanking their cases, no matter what they got court with and they will, whatever. A lot of people was getting Jones dismissed on illegal search and seizure, because with these cops dropping, you know that the city, the cops was really trying to crack down on the city. But I'm just gonna get into this story. I know a lot of y'all remember this, John. That's from this era, and for those of y'all that don't, you know, just stay tuned for this story. A chubby cheeked young defendant, yeah, definitely, that sounds crazy, but a chubby cheeked young defendant surprised a packed courtroom Thursday by pleading guilty to the Halloween '07 body of the Philly police officer during the donut store jamming. The jury picked for the death penalty case must now decide if the slam was premeditated or whether the 21-year-old John Lewis panicked when he saw Officer Chuck Cassidy enter the store. Cassidy, 54, is remembered as a warm, devoted community servant who raised 3 children with his high school sweetheart and made daily rounds at small businesses on his beat in North Philly. He and Lewis, both armed, walked some of the same streets and entered some of the same stores, one to protect and the other to terrorize, prosecutors said Thursday. So it's not at all surprising that the lives of these 2 men would cross. Assistant DA attorney Jennifer Selber said in opening statements Lewis, now 23, nervously mistaked his name before uttering in the word guilty to a dozen jammies, weapons and assault charges, and finally to the body charge. The Cassidy family of police officers around them seemed to wonder what they had heard, but the pained sobs of Lewis family members confirmed the plea lawyers had spent 4 days last week picking jurors willing to consider the death penalty. The jury must now decide whether Lewis committed first or second degree. And this was definitely second degree, the latter being an unplanned death that occurs a crime. Cassidy's death was one of the string of police slams that have rocked Philadelphia since mid-06. Within at least 7 officers rocked on duty, faced with devastating security tapes from other officers whose lives was taken on duty. They also got security tapes of robberies and Lewis confessing to the news crews after November 6 when he was captured in Miami. November 6, 2007, defense lawyer Michael Cord conceded his client's guilt. Police also found his ratchet, Now this ratchet that they caught was crazy, which they probably gonna talk about in this ad. I don't know if they don't, but just to let y'all know, basically young boy, he was 21 at the time when he did these, right? I remember this joint was all over the news going crazy. You know what I'm saying? And basically the ratchet was his mom ratchet, bro. He took his mom ratchet, and not only was his mom ratchet, but his mom was a CO on State Road. I think she was a CO over CFCF. For those of y'all that remember, correct me if I'm wrong, but his mom was a CO at CFCF. And, the story was so big, and she was embarrassed, because she is CO. So I don't know what kind of CO she was in that joint, but I think she had ended up quitting and everything. The publicity was too much, and it's like, it was a crazy situation. But just to get back on track with the story, police also found his ratchet and Cassidy's service weapon stashed at his cousin's house. So after he did what he did to Cassidy, because he was in the middle of taking down the Dunkin' Donuts, he took Cassidy John off his hip too. You know what I mean? He basically did how Pac and them did on Juice when they hit that store. He took Cassidy ratchet too, and they found that John at his cousin's house. A herald passed at the hands of John Lewis, court said. He still had the rage and sadness inherent in the case and does not alone merit a first-degree verdict. They can't carry that day, he said. Was it calculated, premeditated to take down the officer, or panicky reaction during the jammy? Selber found premeditation in two steps that Lewis took toward Cassidy, who had crouched down and was hit in the head from above. She called the body inevitable, giving Lewis increasingly brazen 6 weeks crime spree. The boyish-looking thief who had nervously waved the ratchet in the initial September 18th jammy mission was by October 25th hopping a counter at a busy police parlor and pistol whipping employees. So he was just hitting a bunch of minor joints in the area. He even hit pizza shops, jumping over counters, smacking people with the ratchet. What a lot of people don't understand is it's just like trapping, but when you taking something after your first joint, you see how it go. You might have them butterflies and all that. Even though a lot of times when you wait to them missions, you might have a little butterflies, but once it's in motion, your adrenaline is rushing so quick that now that just become like a second instinct when you out there taking. So he was moving along a path, and he was flirting with the game, they said. Selber said Early and Cassidy had pursued Lewis after September 18th jammy mission, so he was already under investigation for the string of jammies he was doing, which occurred at the same Dunkin' Donuts store where he would be hit Halloween morning. With help from a witness, Cassidy recovered a sweatshirt the jammy mission had tossed aside. After his death, DNA tests would link the shirt to the suspect. Although a gag order prevents lawyers from discussing the case, Lewis could presumably face the death penalty if convicted with first degree. The son of a correction officer, he said Thursday that he quit school in 11th grade and he has been treated in prison for mental health issues. The jammy missions netted him a few $100s apiece. He basically took the husband of a wife and, a father from the 3 children, is what they saying. But this is a little bit more on a story that I'm going to just go that they don't have in this ad. So basically what happened was he did this string of the missions, right? He went to this Dunkin' Donuts. This Dunkin' Donuts is at Broughton 66. All my people from this city, y'all know where Broughton 66 is, and y'all know how close the 35th is to Broughton 66. It's only a few blocks down Broad Street. So he ran up in Broughton 66. Broughton 66 is a big intersection. Like, that joint big. It's coming from, besides the traffic on Broad Street, you got Old York Road. It's so many different roads going in so many different angles. And then he went in there on Halloween Day. That's just a high traffic area right there. Period. I don't even know if he had I had to have had some type of will or something to even be. Cause right there, you like right in the open. You come up, you run up in that joint, you get up out of there, you right in the open. So he hit the Dunkin' Donuts that was a few blocks down from the 35th. Now with that being said, after he did it and he got off of the scene, he was basically, hitting the Dunkin' Donuts, and then, the officer had arrived inside the Dunkin' Donuts while he was doing it. He hit the officer in his head. He took the officer ratchet, got up out of there. He stashed the officer ratchet at his cousin crib, and then he went to Miami. He went to Miami where they, when they at the time they was running the ballistics, they found out who he was. He was on the hideout out Miami. It was like a church/homeless joint that they found him at out Miami. He was in there in the middle of praying in that church with his congregation that was up in there. It was probably like 100 of them in there. He was in there like damn near leading the prayer and all of that. I don't know if the people in there knew he was on a run, whatever the situation is, but he went in there, felt as though that, he was, talking, I'm saying, to his Lord or whatever. You dig what I'm saying? While he was doing that and he got done, the cops got an anonymous tip that he was there. They had approached him at the church joint and all that, and they had a mug shot of him and was like, "Is this you?" And he was like, "Yes." So he cooperated, and they cuffed him and all that right then and there. So at the time when he got locked up and all that, he pled guilty. He said, he was basically out of pocket. He's sorry for the family. He ain't want nothing he ain't wanted to work out to basically fall through how it did. He said, it's an embarrassment to his family. He apologized to the officer family, and from there on out, that's what they was trying to figure out, was it premeditated or not. So what his situation is, as y'all heard, he was on a string of missions. In the string of missions, they said that, like they said, he was getting violent in some Jones and all of that, and it was just certain situations. It had got nasty. So they looking at it like, he was aggressive and he was willing to, he knew when he was going in there, the style that he was jamming people, that he was willing to, let it go if he had to. So they basically made it to basically saying, oh, he knew that he might have to possibly let it loose, and he was prepared to do that. So that's how he ended up getting the maximum that he got. I don't know if he had any priors or not, but I do remember when he had got locked up, and like they said, he was on the mental health block and all of that, and he had like a black lawyer, I believe, but nothing ended up working. He actually ended up getting the death penalty for that. He pled guilty. He apologized in the courtroom where they asked him, was there any last statements? Obviously the officer wife wasn't trying to hear that or didn't accept the apology. She basically said that she knew her husband, would have basically just wouldn't have took your life. You could have just basically let him lock you up. Now, if he would have let him lock him up on a simple behalf that you was only hitting little minor stores, only getting a few hundred, bro, you know what I'm saying, you was better off just hitting the check cashing places, something like that, or you know what I'm saying, or something where it's some real bread at, not to try to justify what he did or try to promote nothing. But at the end of the day, you put your life on the line, had to end up taking somebody else's life, and just for a few hundreds of dollars. You know what I'm saying? You might as well have went all the way in, at least went to where some real bread was at, if you gonna be on that type time. So, he threw his life away for a string of jammy missions, where between all them jammy missions, he probably got no more than 2,500. You know what I'm saying? With all of those Jones combined. So that's the story, how the story ended with him. He up in the mountains right now, obviously on death row. Death row, they can have you on death row for 20, 30 years. You might not never get hit with that needle or whatever, but it is what it is. But this SB Twiz, the hood blogger, man, taking it back to the throwback stories and all of that. Make sure y'all stay tuned in. DM me if y'all want me to drop any other specific videos. Drop a comment below, man. Let me know what y'all think about this situation.